Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I just want to pray that everyone's Ramadan is going well, and I hope that we all reap the benefits of this great month. And for those of us that are suffering COVID-19 or any other ailment or anything during this time, I ask that Allah grants them all shifa and eases the burden on their families and on the community overall. And may Allah allow us all to really thank Him for all the blessings that we have. Allahumma ameen. So today I wanted to focus a little bit on the Quran and seeking knowledge and really making dua to Allah to increase us in knowledge, right? And Ramadan is a great time to really strengthen our connection with Allah and with the Quran, but it's also a great time to try and gain more Islamic knowledge, right? There's a lot more barakah. At least I've noticed there's so much more barakah, so much more blessing in our time during Ramadan than there is elsewhere during the year, right? Anytime during the year or otherwise. And, it's maybe because our focus is, we know Ramadan is an important month, we're so much more focused. The shayateen are locked up, so our distractions are less, right? A lot of everyone, most people we know are focused on during Ramadan, so that kind of leads to everyone being more focused. Whatever the reason may be, Allahu Alam, Ramadan is a very, very special time to do a lot of good acts for our community and also for ourselves, right? But I wanted to focus on a specific dua in the Quran that Allah has taught us that we can ask, right? We can ask Him to increase us in knowledge. And I think it's important that we start thinking about that during Ramadan so we can continue seeking more knowledge after Ramadan. May Allah allow us to do so. Allahumma ameen. So in the Quran, in Surah, Allah tells us, as part of an ayah, وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنَا عِلْمًا, right? وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنَا عِلْمًا. So Allah is telling us, say, our Lord, increase us in knowledge, right? And this is a specific dua in the Quran that Allah is teaching us, right, to say, right? And there's no better supplication to make than what Allah has taught us. So while it's completely permissible to say dua and ask Allah for things in our native language, whether that's English or Spanish or Urdu or whatever it is, it's also important to use the dua that Allah has taught us. And one of the biggest blessings of the Quran is its depth and its wisdom that's contained in such a small amount of words, right? And think about it, right? This is the guidebook for all of mankind, for every aspect of our lives, and it's only about 600 pages in length, right? Depending on the mushaf that you're reading. But there are these, things like Harry Potter books or Stephen King books and all this stuff that are much, much longer, right, in terms of number of pages. But of course, right, we can never ever compare any book created by man to the Quran, right, to the book created by Allah. And that's why it's so special, right? There's so much wisdom conveyed in such a brief amount of passages and a brief amount of words. And from this are the dua that Allah has taught us. So the brevity and the depth of the Quran is really embodied in that ayah, right? Rabbi zidna ilma, right? And the Prophet ﷺ was instructed to say this dua, right? Rabbi zidna ilma. It's so simple, you may have already memorized it just from hearing me say it a few times, right? My Lord, increase me in knowledge, right? So again, something so simple, but within these words, there's really a lot of depth and a lot of meaning. Allah Azza wa Jal, He already taught the Prophet ﷺ the Quran, right? The Prophet is our teacher ﷺ. He's our guide. And who is more knowledgeable, who has walked this earth than him? Yet despite all of this, he's instructed to make dua, asking for more knowledge. And Allah in the Quran elsewhere, He tells the Prophet ﷺ that He taught him what he did not know. And because of that, the blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ are immense. And if you think about it, what makes us different from any other creation of Allah, right? It's our intellect, right? It's our capacity for knowledge and being able to utilize that knowledge to shape the world around us, right? Because if you look at strength, right? It's not our strength that sets us apart. An ant can lift many, many, many times their body weight. It's not our speed, right? A cheetah can run, 60 miles an hour, right? We can't run 60 miles an hour, right? And it's not the fact that we can prepare food and eat it, right? It's not that, because plants can make their own food naturally, right? So these aren't the things that set us apart from all the other aspects of creation. So it's our aql, right? It's our knowledge, right? It's our intellect. And that's what That's really what made Adam alayhi salam preferred over the angels, right? He was given knowledge that the angels didn't have. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, right? And why was Musa, for example, right, in Surah Al-Kahf, right? Why was he told to seek out the person with more knowledge, right? Commonly called Al-Khidr, right? Because Al-Khidr had more knowledge, right? And Musa was the most knowledgeable person at the time, but Allah wanted him to know that even he did not have all the knowledge, right? So knowledge is highly, highly valued in Islam, right? In our religion. And elsewhere in the Quran, Allah tells us, right, that only those who fear Allah from among His servants who have knowledge, right? So Allah tells us in the full ayah, and among people and moving creatures and grazing livestock of various colors similarly. Only those fear Allah from among His servants who have knowledge. Indeed, Allah is exalted in might and forgiving. So only the people of knowledge can have the highest level of fear, the highest level of taqwa. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the people of knowledge are the inheritors of the Prophet, right? ﷺ. So is this dua, right? When we make this dua, right? Rabbi Zidna ilma, are we asking for Islamic knowledge, right? Knowledge of fiqh and aqidah and tajweed and all of these branches of Islamic knowledge? Or are we asking for worldly knowledge, right? Science and math and engineering and arts and all of this stuff, right? But it can actually be for both, right? It can be both for religious knowledge and worldly knowledge, right? And many people in this world, of course, they've mastered, quote unquote, mastered to some degree the knowledge of the dunya, right? Physics, medicine, and the arts, and all this stuff, right? They're an expert in that field. But having spiritual knowledge, right? That's an even higher level, right? And people, who know the true Islam, right? Who are truly pious, right? These are the people who enter Jannah, right? The people who have this strong taqwa, and this comes from having more knowledge. And the best knowledge is that which brings us closer to Allah, right? No knowledge is bad, right? I mean, talking about good things, right? A lot of knowledge about pop culture and stuff like that is not going to be of much use, right? But knowledge of benefit, right? In this world, that's not bad knowledge. But, there's different levels of knowledge, and the best is spiritual knowledge. So if we make that intention, right, we can gain rewards for learning any kind of knowledge. And knowledge is so important, we should never suffice ourselves with whatever knowledge we have. We always need to strive for more. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said that two seekers are never satisfied, right? Two people who are trying to get something, they are never satisfied. And who are these two people? The seeker of the dunya and the seeker of knowledge. And this is so true, right? Look at people who have power, right? Look at people in government right now, right? Who have power and they want to do anything they can to cling on to power, right? Even if it's unsafe, even if it puts people in danger, they hold on to it no matter what, right? Someone who's living for this dunya, they'll never be satisfied, right? Same with wealth, right? People just want to make more and more and more money. People who are so wealthy that they don't care about money anymore, they want to have a better and better legacy for themselves when they die, right? And that they're never satisfied, right? The seeker of the dunya. But same as a seeker of knowledge, right? You're never satisfied with the amount of knowledge you have because there's always more. And the more you learn, the more you realize that there's so much more that you don't know, right? That's I think the essence of seeking knowledge is that you realize that, you really don't know much, right? And Allah is the one who knows everything. So may Allah make us among those who really try and seek knowledge of benefit so we can benefit ourselves and benefit our community and benefit our families and everybody. Allahumma ameen. So a scholar said that even if you're not going to become an alim, don't remain a jahil, right? So if you're not going to become a scholar, and not everyone can become a scholar, right? This is not something that everyone has the capability of doing, and nor do we need everyone in the world to become a scholar, right? But even if that's the case, and you cannot become a scholar, you don't plan on becoming a scholar, don't remain in ignorance, right? Don't remain a jahil. Don't be ignorant of anything, right? That's not an excuse, right? We need to still gain knowledge to benefit ourselves, right? And it's very, very important. And that starts with this dua, right? Rabbi Zidna ilma, right? Allah increases the knowledge. And then once we say that dua, we don't just sit back and do nothing. We go and try and actually attain that knowledge, right? And there's so many ways to do this nowadays, right? For example, FCAD, right? FCAD Institute has the ADP program, right? You can go there and seek knowledge. There's online universities, right? Where you can get bachelor's degrees, right? Sometimes for even very low or no tuition, you can gain all this Islamic knowledge, right? All it takes is motivation. Even if you're busy, say you have no time to do these things, right? You have family and work and all this stuff. You can listen to good Islamic podcasts on the way to work, right? On your commute home. and you can gain knowledge that way. There's so many things we can do. We just have to make it a point to, really make that a part of our lives. And, the Prophet ﷺ, he also made dua, seeking refuge from knowledge of no benefit. And how many times do we see knowledge of no benefit, right? How does knowing what Beyonce wore at the last party, how did that benefit everybody? How does knowing the stats of every baseball or basketball player, how does that help you? If you can name, all of the James Bond movies, or you can name all of this, or all of that, right? All of the movies this actor was in, how is that a benefit, right? And I'm guilty of this as well, right? Especially when I was younger, probably, maybe even now as well, but when I was younger especially, I wasted a lot of time with useless knowledge, right? And I wish I had done stuff more beneficial at that time. But it's never too late to change, right? All it takes is motivation, right? And motivation, and of course, help from Allah. So that's why you have to have that internal motivation. You say, Rabbi zidna ilma, right? Allah, increase us in knowledge. And then you make it a point to really try and better yourself, right? And gain more true, Islamic knowledge from trustworthy sources. And we always want to, when we gain knowledge, always implement things, right? That's also important because Allah tells us, right, in the Quran, that the example of, and I'll quote from the Quran in the translation, the example of those who were entrusted with the Torah and then did not take it on, right, is like that of a donkey who carries volumes of books. Wretched is the example of the people who deny the signs of Allah, and Allah does not guide the wrongdoing people. So we don't want to be like donkeys, right? We don't want to just be carrying knowledge in our heads and never utilizing it, right? Allah is comparing that to the people of old, right? The Jews who, did that, right? And of course, our religion Islam came to perfect that and replace that with the proper way, right? So we take knowledge and we also act on it, right? We use it to better ourselves, we teach it to others, right? And even that is a form of sadaqah jariyah, right? It's an ongoing charity, because if we teach something to somebody, they teach it to somebody, those people teach to more people, all that started from us and spread out. And you can imagine on the Day of Judgment, if a lot of people benefited from one thing that you thought, you may see, with Allah's will, mountains and mountains of rewards. And you'd probably be amazed as to where these rewards came from. All it came from is a little bit of knowledge you had that you passed on to others. So may Allah allow this to benefit myself first and foremost, and all of us. May He allow us to really, seek true, authentic Islamic knowledge for His sake, right? With the right intention, so we can please Him first and foremost, and also better ourselves and our families and community. And again, may Allah grant shifa to all of those suffering around the world from COVID-19 and from any other ailments. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.